Oh,
Lzzy
hello.
Hale in the
How are
building.
you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I love your dress. I have something similar in my closet somewhere around here. I'm
Oh my God. If I could just like have a minute in that closet, I would probably die.
dude, anytime. And I probably you could steal anything. I wouldn't know anything is gone. It's I get it all cleaned up like right before tour because I get everything organized and then I go away and for some reason like the I swear there's gremlins that come out because I come back and it looks like a bomb goes off and I got to clean it all up. I don't understand it. Yeah, closet gremlins.
Amazing, amazing. So, and I'm not saying this to blow smoke up your ass, but I truly believe that you are the hardest working woman in rock music. And there's reasons I say that. I want to get into all of them. First of all, everyone's talking about you and Skid Row. Tell me about this.
Right? Oh my gosh, it's so crazy because I didn't realize until after we announced it a couple days ago how much bigger this is than even just individually like me or them and all of us because it started as this very like casual. We were at a birthday party for a buddy and I've become friends with Rachel Bolan and Snake over the past decade or so, just living here in Nashville and we got to be friends before we even really kind of like started talking about like music together is one of those things. And so this was recently, like just whatever, a couple months ago, we were at a birthday party, right around maybe after Christmas time, I can't remember. And Rachel's like, "Hey, would you ever consider singing with us?" And I'm like, well, what with like Halestorm and Skid Row? And he's like, no, like in our band, like as our lead singer. And I'm like, oh, dude, of course, like let me know anytime. And then a couple months ago, he literally calls my bluff. He calls me up and he's like, hey, were you serious about that? Because we're gonna need a couple dates filled and like, would you do that? And so of course I'm like, dude, yeah, let me like make sure my calendar's good and like let me, fill it in. And so then we go through the process of like getting everything together and like clearing everybody's schedule, getting travel. Like, so I'm doing this. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna like announce the dates and announce that Eric is leaving. I'm like, okay, so they announced it, and then you hear from everybody, like people I haven't heard from in like 15 years that literally introduced me to Skid Row in a time where so like I've always been like an in-betweener, like with my interest in music and my generation and all of that. So at the time, this was in the 90s, so like 96 or whatever, I was starting to get into rock music, but I loved 80s. I didn't like the 90s yet. I loved 80s, but then I also had this tug of like new metal. So it was like going from
Mhm.
like Dio and Alice Cooper to like Disturbed and Seven Dust, and Skid Row was that band that did both for me on that Slave to the Grind album. And there was these big choruses and everything, but it wasn't always dark. But then they had that seedy like underbelly of the 90s that we were all like feeling. So it was like that perfect combination. So this full circle thing is just crazy. Like all the guys that introduced me to Skid Row, all of the fans that are now my fans that are like, oh my God, like I get to like do this like with my family and like show this like beautiful like combination of worlds. And then just proof that like time is elastic. It's like it doesn't matter what age you are, what time you got introduced to whatever time of music, regardless of whether it was in your generation or not. We're all the same, and we're all like, this is an event now. It's not just
Yeah.
like me like helping out a buddy. It's like this is something that everyone can look forward to, and like we're doing this. So very excited. Also a little nervous, kind of a beautiful panic. Be like, because we haven't even had a rehearsal yet, and everyone's like, "You're going to be the best." I'm like, "Am I though?"
Hope
So
so.
I know, right? No, I've been I've already like begun my playlist, and like I have like all the songs that I need to make sure like I practice and make sure I'm mine. I'm singing it on the stationary bike and be like, all right, I'm like ready, trying to pick out my leather pants. I'm very excited. Very important.
Absolutely. So, like, what would little Lizzie think of this now?
Oh my gosh, it would blow her little mind. It's like you dream big when you're a kid.
Mhm.
But the big is broad. The big is like both like you believe that you are capable of these great things happening, but but the chances of those things actually coming to fruition and being reality are very slim. But
Sure.
you have to believe those things into being, and it takes you a long time to figure that out. And so the funny thing is that I keep joking with the guys. I'm like, oh, my VHS audition tape for Skid Row from like 26 years ago finally made it in the mail. And because it's like, that's how I felt. I'm like, man, if they could only hear me do my thing, if I could only meet these guys, if only I knew the secrets they knew. And so now, like, us both being on the other side and us being friends, and these guys in this band are a rarity too, because as people, it's like no time goes by. Like, they get it. They live the same astronaut like circus life that we do, and have been through it. They, a couple steps, they came, a few steps before us. So you inadvertently, you learn something by hanging out with these men, but also there's no reintroduction of oneself, to one's friends, which happens a lot in this life. You just kind of like, no matter how much time goes by, we just pick up right where we left off. And so I feel like I'm joining a band with a group of guys that I would have joined a band with if I didn't have another band. So it's like, so I don't know. It feels like new and also something really beautiful and old at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that same vein of Little Lizzy, I wanted to talk about this too. Earlier this year, you had shared a couple of videos from when Halestorm were just little babies
Oh
getting
gosh.
started.
Yeah.
And there was a commercial you guys did and a performance. And it's so great as a fan to see that in the stage presence then and see it now. And I love that you're highlighting the cringe and that the cringe is okay. And
Mhm.
I think it's so important, especially for the younger generations, to see that and to see, like, hey, I'm going to start something and I might look a little funny doing it, but this is where I can end up. I
Yes.
think that is so, so
It's
important.
to me, it's more, it's more inspiring to, and you also get more from it when you uh when you are able to show your full self, warts and all. And that's been, my MO. It took me a really long time to figure that out. But I think that for any young musician, um give yourself permission to be flawed. You
Mhm.
don't have to have it all figured out right now. And also, we have to, as encouragers, as people that are watching young bands try to do it, it's not about them being perfect. We have to be less judgmental, less expectant of them to have it all figured out, because they shouldn't have it all figured out right now. That would ruin it. One of the most beautiful things that I went through a period of life where I actually felt really ashamed of this, for my naivete, toward the entire business, toward my instrument. I still have no idea how to play my instrument. It's like, every time I sit down to write a song, it's like, first time on the guitar, first time on the piano. But it's like, but I've always been that way. And if it wasn't for that, like fog, of just wonder, of, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know there's something tugging at me to do it. That's the most important thing. The most important thing is that you are doing it. Do
Mhm.
it. Don't worry about having it figured out. You're not ever going to have it all figured out. And B, you can't figure it out until you fall on your face. Like, our performances when we first started, we started in the summer of 97, August 9th. And we didn't know what we were doing. It was laughable. It wasn't good. I didn't sound the way I do now. RJ has always been incredible, but even he was more ADHD and chaotic than he is now. And I had all these harebrained schemes of, like, oh, you know what? I'm going to write a song about a mythical bellhop that lives in the elevator in my brain and either takes me high or low. Like I hadn't figured anything out yet, but the art is in the doing and in the failing and in the flaws, and
Mhm.
finding the flaws in yourself that you want to improve upon, but then finding the flaws, the so-called flaws in yourself that make you stand out, that other people don't understand, because that's the true language that you're just trying to interpret, to everybody. So it's so important not to discourage young musicians for just doing it, even if they're bad, even if the singer's flat, even if, and I'm talking to my own Joe Hottinger in my band right now. It's like even people that play guitars that you don't like, you know, but it's like like let them be and let them figure it out on their own, because they will, and allow them to. Because I had a lot of crazy people around me that I look back now, I'm like, why did you encourage us? Those videos were not my family taking that videos. My family was behind the scenes, either playing the bass with me or turning around that rotating drum kit of my brother. It's like whoever adored us enough to videotape those early performances before social media, thank you for that encouragement, because why you would ever want to record that or watch that, I have no idea. But thank you. So anyway, I'll talk about this all day. You go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's a concept that I think even me just getting into my 30s, I'm fully grasping. Like, it's okay to suck and struggle at things a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think in today's world, with young people seeing social media, yeah, there are people that are just naturals at things, and they get up
Yeah.
and they're so great. And so I think it's really easy for people to be like, well, I'm not them, so why even bother?
Mhm.
This is why you bother.
This is why you bother. And everyone finds it in their own time, and you have to think about, everyone has um their own war that they're constantly fighting with themselves. And the war of that prodigy kid that maybe understands everything about the instrument is, maybe I don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know how to put words down. It's like, whereas maybe on your end, like, well, maybe I don't know how to play my instrument, but I have a lot of crazy ideas and I have the guts to go for it. Everyone's got their own power. So just, give yourself some grace.
I love that. I love that. Now, we've looked at the past. Let's look forward. You guys have been working on new music. What can you tell me so far?
It's been so beautiful. I've been kind of I've been very in touch with the manicness that happens with me when I get into songwriting mode. I've been writing every single day. It will not leave me alone, to the point that I do have some crazy like voice memos of me talking to myself like that. So
Mhm.
the guys are a little concerned about my mental well-being, but the album's going to be great. And but we're doing a record with Dave Cobb. It's a very adventurous record for us in all of the best ways. We're doubling down on everything that we are, and I think the difference between this album, only the future can tell, because honestly, the music has got to kind of tell us what to do, because we can have all the plans in the world and all of that totally go out the window at the end of it. But what I can see now is that, if nothing else, this album will be kind of sticking out in a way that we are more peeling back the onion
Ooh,
instead of
okay.
building onto it, you know, as in, kind of doubling down on everything we are, but behind the curtain. And I feel like I'm talking about things that I've never really been, even in my own I am the fire way, brave enough to actually talk about. So I'm looking forward to it being done and us being able to go out and tour and see faces.
That's so exciting. And when I think of your catalog of music, you're like, yes, I love the songs that I can rock out to and headbang to. But if I really think about it, like, my favorites are those vulnerable ones, like Heart of Novocaine, what Sober Couldn't Say. Like,
Thank
those
you.
ones are really what gets me as a fan, and that balance too. Like, yeah, I want to rock out, but then I want to get in my feels a little bit too.
Of course. I mean, we're and not to bring it in uh on the female end, but let's rein it in and call it what it is. We're women, and we're complicated beings, and we feel all of the feelings at the same
Mhm.
time, and you know in different variations and at different times in our life, and sometimes really heavy, sometimes really light, and we change with the weather. So you can't just do we're evolving, so we're chasing what gets us excited. But as people, we have to we can't just stay one thing all the time. You can't just be like, well, I'm just going to be the one with the leather and the chains and like,
Mhm.
strong like bull all the time. You have to give yourself that other space. So yeah, no, I agree with you. There's some songs that are like really wild, like every time. I don't know what it is with like the second verses, but there's some songs that like will without a doubt to like make me cry at the
Mm.
same time and the same. I'm like, I don't know how. There's something, you're touching something magical that I don't know how to interpret yet, but it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you find that, if you say you're in your feelings and you have this powerful song and that the guys just don't get it?
Oh yeah. And I gotta shout out to my dudes anyway, because Joe, Josh, and RJ trust me with words even when they don't understand them. And I don't understand why. It's like it's a beautiful thing to be trusted. I think that is like equating to some other. It's like a higher form of leveling up on love, whereas they're letting me do whatever I want because they want me to get out whatever I need to get out. And even when when I had lost sight for a couple years of what I was really doing this for, they never they never stopped seeing that in me. And it's weird to be like, oh my god, all the reminders during all of those low times where I just was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. They're like, no, 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 like you still got this. And don't forget, even though the music has become the work as well, don't forget that, and don't forget about that, because you need that to get through. So they're just allowing me to get through whatever I have to get through that vessel. But there have been multiple times where it's like, especially poor little bro, because he gets hounded in the press because I write sex songs, or I write songs about other people, or I'll write songs about him, about like, or my relationship with the other boys, and then he'll have to do like the backing vocals because he's the one that really can match me very well. And like, man, I'm sorry, man, you're gonna have to do that high note. He's like, but we're singing about the time, like, that time. Like, I know, I'm sorry, but everyone likes the song and we have to play it. It's like, I
You
know,
know,
but like nobody says it until like after the album comes out and it's already like nothing can be,
what a
you know,
trooper.
so what a trooper. But it is interesting because, even my relationship with Joe, or my I've written so many songs just about some of the hard times we've gone through as a band, and the guys all know my language. They know me better than anyone else, so they recognize it. When they do recognize it, I know that sometimes brings up conversation, especially in the beginning. It used to be like more of a conversation, like, hey, are you mad at me? Hey, like, was this about this? And now it's not so much that. It's more like, hey, there's a collective like unspoken rule that like, hey, if we got to get something out, we get it out right now. And so it's been this like beautiful kind of, I think, way that we keep it together as a group too, where it's like it's that kind of honesty and trust. So yeah.
Yeah, that's super healthy, and it's nothing but love and respect between you guys, and I think that's incredible, and it shows. And I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we are looking forward to Wednesday, October 7th. You guys are coming to
Woo!
Hollywood Casino Amphitheater with I Prevail and
Yay.
Hollywood Undead. So it's been a couple years since we've seen you guys. What's planned for this tour?
Well, this is going to be my birthday week, so because I'm on October 10th, so we're definitely going to be having a time at that point in time in the tour. So, but yeah, I mean, this is just such a beautiful tour, and they're wonderful people, and we all have such this beautiful respect for each other, and so we're really going to kind of double down on the community and the idea that we're all in this together, and not just like, hey, you do your set, I do mine.
Mhm.
And gonna kind of be like spreading those smiles, coming around. And we've had all these beautiful like in-depth talks about like the people that follow us that are a part of our, not to get all churchy about it, but a part of our congregation. Like, hey, you got to meet my people, and I got to meet your people. Like, oh, they would love this song of yours. Like, oh no, I can't wait for them to hear you sing that. So it's I don't know. I say anybody that wants to come out and see a show, come out and share the love and experience it, because I feel like we look forward to right now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And, a little inside baseball. I know you just got done talking to AD and Chris. Chris is
Yeah.
also one of your besties,
Oh
works for
yeah.
your record
He's
label. He's one
amazing.
of my besties. And we're already talking that maybe we should get pedicures.
Oh yeah. I no, I think that should happen because I think the last time I got that done, I think was for Josh's wedding, and I'm well overdue.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
but yeah, let's brave some feet.
I love it. I love it. Well, Lzzy, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for sitting down and taking the time because I know you are so busy. Good luck with Skid Row, and we'll see you for the Point Big Summer Show.
Yes, we'll see you soon, honey. Thank you so much for taking the time for me.
Yes, of course. Have a good one. Bye.